Ripple and XRP are taking away all middlemen from the SWIFT network. A lot of people in the XRP community have their own ideas about this, and for many, XRP will become widely used when the SWIFT network is gone. Guys, in this video, I'm going to talk about whether or not I think this is going to happen. To be honest, I don't think enough people really understand where Ripple and XRP fit into the whole settlement system. Ladies and gentlemen, there's something very important you need to know in order to fully understand whether Ripple and XRP would replace SWIFT or work better together. In this video, I'm going to talk about whether or not either of these things is likely to happen and where XRP and Ripple fit into the world's banking system. Guys, this video will really help you understand how the current banking system works and how Ripple and XRP fit in. Your help is very much appreciated. As always, thanks a lot. Thank you to everyone who liked the movies and signed up for the channel. These two easy things help me a lot. Also, if you ever need to buy XRP, check out Uphold My Best Exchange, which is linked in the video's description. That was right into it, and I hope you guys enjoy the material. One idea I hear a lot, and one that is very popular in the XRP community, is that Ripple and XRP will one day take the place of the SWIFT network. To sum up, I believe this main idea is mostly correct. In fact, I believe that the way we do business will change a great deal, and I don't see any reason to use the old SWIFT method to move money. But I believe not enough people really know what that means. For my part, I don't think that Ripple and XRP will totally mess up and remove SWIFT from the market. But I still believe that Ripple and XRP will be very important to the SWIFT network. First, I'd like to quickly talk about why. In the end, most of the big banks and businesses don't move very quickly. That was like the biggest change in the world when I worked at a Fortune 500 company and had to change something as small as a video chat app. That's why it can be hard to understand when financial companies change how they move money around the world. Most of these financial companies don't really look at the rails that the money is moving on when they move it around the world. Not at all. They're just connecting to SWIFT. Getting plugged into someone else will be the hardest thing for them to do, right? They want SWIFT to get better and be able to connect to it. It won't cost them money to move in 3 to 5 days. They do not wish to pay the charges. They just want SWIFT to move the money faster. That would be fine. But SWIFT isn't a settlement tool, it's a way to send messages. All of the settlements take place between the banks, which are in charge of moving money around the world. This means that SWIFT is mostly just sending messages back and forth. They have no power over settlement. In fact, they have no control over the deal at all. These businesses want to work with SWIFT since they already know how to use it. They send their money that way all the time. But in the end, SWIFT doesn't really have any power over the whole process. That's the first thing I want to talk about. But what I want to talk about next is what made me think of this idea of SWIFT and Ripple XRP. Anyway, I read this story earlier today and found it interesting. I've seen it before though, in the BIS Cross-Border Payments Task Group. This basically means that XRP is now ahead of SWIFT. I read the article after clicking on it, and to be honest, it's always hard to know what you're getting with these kinds of things. I just want to warn you all to be very skeptical when you read these kinds of articles. No matter who the author is, you can't be sure you can trust them. There was some interesting information in this, like how the BIS is looking at Ripple because of their work on CBDCs, how they can do fast settlement, and how they have a lot of features that the SWIFT network doesn't have. To be honest with you, I don't really care about the story. The story made me think. What really made me think is how few people really know what the new system will be like and how Ripple and XRP fit into it. I think a lot of people think that XRP will mess up the SWIFT network, but I don't think that's what will happen. Here is a quote from David Schwartz that I want to show you. David Schwartz said that XRP is a thing that can be used to settle loans. It's like gold that can be sent anywhere in the world at the speed of light. In fact, it does change the value. After that, there's nothing to settle. David Schwartz is saying that what XRP does is very different from what SWIFT does. XRP is a token used for payment. The payment is made. So if I send you XRP, that money is no longer in my account and I no longer have it. It is now in yours. You might be able to tell that those assets are coming if I sent you a SWIFT letter. You might see that value coming, but the money is moved through the correspondent banking system, which is very slow, requires a lot of work, has a lot of middlemen, charges high fees, and takes a very long time to happen. Now let's say I sent you a SWIFT message with the XRP to settle the payment. This is exactly where things get really interesting. You could send me your usual SWIFT payment message, and along with that message we were able to settle the deal using XRP. If that were to happen, who would be left out of the equation? It wasn't SWIFT, right? It was really the banks that controlled and monopolized the flow of money. SWIFT wasn't making any money. SWIFT wasn't making any money. SWIFT is only interested in the message. Furthermore, they likely don't care much about how the money is changed in the end. It's possible that they like how quickly the money is moved. If it takes too long for the money to move on the back end, SWIFT will get a lot of complaints from people on the front end. Where is my money? Where is my money? In the end, they work with all of these banks below them to make the money move, so they don't have much of a view into it. For example, as we already talked about, they're not the ones moving the money. Things are going badly and it's the payments stack. That's what I want to talk about now. Where does Ripple fit in the world of payments? This is the most exciting part of everything. I'm sorry this isn't the best shot, but Ripple is at the bottom of the payments stack. At the bottom is this settlement infrastructure. It's SWIFT and ACH that sit above Ripple. Since they're not doing the payment, they sit above XRP. That means Ripple and XRP are below all of this. Their job is to act as a hub. In the value move, they are the ones who actually make the deals. It's very important to understand this because when you look at the bigger picture, Ripple isn't really changing SWIFT. Instead, they're giving SWIFT a new way to work so that money can move instantly around the world, be cleared and settle. You can then build any other fancy front-end messaging apps like Swifts, ACHs, Zeals, or Venmos on top of that. You can build any of those things on top of anything else, but you need to clear and fix the ground first. Ripple is not cutting out SWIFT as a middleman. It's possible that some of the apps they have are competitors, but they are really after the system of foreign banks. The big banks control the flow of money around the world by using their power and resources. And the fact that they control the flow of money around the world isn't always a bad thing. That it takes 3 or 5 days to move this money is not good. XRP moves money in 3 seconds. For you to understand the change that's taking place, watch this video. There are pipes that make the money move. There's no way out of your Venmos. Your Swifts won't leave you. There is no real money moving with those Zelles, so they won't go away. Moving debit and credit around on the front end is all it takes. On the back end, the money still needs to be moved. Ripple wants to get to the rails. They are going after the movement of money itself and trying to change the way value is settled and cleared on the back end, since the current way that partner banks do it is very old. This talks about a lot of that in more depth. But before I go, I want to show you one last video of a real SWIFT employee talking about this very